And we're back. Thank you for viewing and listening to The Media and Society. I'm your host, Anthony Mitchell. And tonight's guest is Amy Taylor, who we're having a great conversation with. We're going to step into another part now where we're going to be talking about her overcoming some of the challenges early in her career and even now, so to speak, and defying some of the societal expectations. We're also going to dive into a court case that she was a part of years ago. So, Amy, you've had a unique and challenging career journey, but I know you've also faced some very personal and public battles, including your involvement in the David Elms court case. How did this experience affect your life and the outlook? Probably start with giving just a brief synopsis about it for people that don't know about it.
Yeah, I mean, shortly, if you want to read about it, just Google David Elms murder. You'll read about it. There's some old articles. It happened about a decade ago, a little more. And that is why, even though I am not sorry that I dated men who were good providers and nobody was ever mean to me, I would not recommend it as a choice long term, because what happens in luxury companionship that I was too naive to know is that there are very bad people who would like to profit off of you.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I saw that stuff in movies, but I was so naive and trusting to not know that that actually does exist. So what happened on the internet, where I had 2 or 3 rich boyfriends and was traveling the world having a great time, is you get these parasitic, usually men, sometimes women, that say, let me manage your career. Any model out there, you know, you're getting 10 a day from these OnlyFans managers, the Andrew Tates. Yeah, it was Andrew Tate with My Free Cams, right? That was him and Tristan back in the day. But there's a million of them, and every internet model is getting a dozen a day from guys like that all over the world. And what they want to do is manage your career. They want to take your money, right? Because they know that a beautiful woman is really valuable. You know, you can make $1 million a month without even trying. They know this. And they know that rich guys will always like beautiful women. That's never going to change. That's biology. So this parasite, David Elms, I was too dumb. And he got in touch and wanted he was going to manage my career. And then he made it very clear that I was going to sell sex for him. And I said, well, I'm not going to sell sex for you or anybody else. Nobody's going to make me have sex for money. I have sex with who I want, when I want, why I want. Nobody's going to force and certainly not you, asshole. but and that was a bad thing to say to him, because it turned out he was a rapist and a crack cocaine addict, and he collected fully automatic weapons, and he forced women into sex and ran girl. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know the bear I was poking.
Mm-hmm.
Stupid and young as you are. And he got very angry. And so the first thing he did was outed me to the world. He told everybody I know that I was, you know, sugar baby, escort, companion, whatever word you want to use.
Mm-hmm.
And the world is still pretty awful about that. So that was terrible. And so then I sued him for defamation and slander, because those laws in America, something can be defamatory or slanderous, even if it's true about you,
Mm-hmm.
if the intent is to harm you.
Correct.
So like if somebody knows one of your secrets and they out it with the intent to hurt you, you can sue them even if it's actually true.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be a lie. Truth is not a defense against slander. That's a lie legally. So I knew this, and so I sued him, and of course I won. And when I won, he decided to come to Phoenix, Arizona, where I was adding all those instructor tickets at the time I told you, so that I could fly as a flight instructor.
Yeah.
He drove there one night to kill me.
Wow.
And they arrested him. I owe my life to the Phoenix police. I would be dead without them.
What tipped
I
you
don't
off to
think
that?
they really loved that I was kind of this gold diggery chick learning to get my instructor pilot's licenses. They thought he was like a boyfriend of mine. I was like, dude, I've never met this guy. He just bothers me by phone and email sometimes. I don't know him. And they arrested him, and he did many years in prison. And the victim services tells me where he is. I know where he is. He's changed his name to try to build a new life. And yeah, apparently he has a daughter, and he's supposedly cleaned up his life more or less. And I hope that's true.
So what do you think the biggest lesson that you learned from that situation, that circumstance?
The lesson I hate is that I can't be so trusting.
Gotcha.
I hate that lesson, but that's true. I came from we weren't rich, but we were classy, right? Professor and housewife, 2 kids, good schools, sorority debutante. I didn't come from the streets. I was privileged in that the world I came from, people weren't like that, and you could trust them. And so I guess one of the take homes is that not everybody's good, and I don't want to internalize that because I still believe most people are good. I have to believe that most people are good,
Yeah, I agree.
and from what I've seen, they are. People make complicated decisions, they make mistakes, but most people are not David Elms when he was in the thick of being a crack addicted pimp.
Hmm.
Even he's not who he used to be, I think. God knows I'll never talk to him, of course. But I mean, I I think there's forgiveness for all people. I'm certainly glad he wasn't successful in trying to kill me.
Absolutely.
I'm glad I get to be here. I don't seek revenge. I had friends who were like, "Oh, you should get revenge. You should kill him." I was like, "No." Like that's not who I am.
Yeah.
One of my friends, he was Russian, and he's like, "Oh, well, if you don't kill him, he's gonna kill you. You're stupid." And I was like, "Dude, this is not Moscow. That's not what we're doing." And even if I were that kind of person, which I'm not, I would have to live with myself.
Hmm.
Even I don't. That's not who I don't do things like that to people. I've never even. Well, I bit my sister when we were 4, but I don't do physical violence. That's not who I am. I never will. I would never. I would die before I would kill another person.
You do showcase cookies, though.
I mean, I'll talk some shit.
Macaroons.
I got a chihuahua's mouth on me, but no, I don't do physical. So I just hope that he seeks redemption. I hope that he is a good father. I hope he never descends into the insanity that he was in when he did what he did to me. I know that there are men who think women are property, that they are to be owned and controlled. I know that's what pimps think. I learned that take home lesson that pimps think women are their property. He called companions his inventory.
Wow.
And there is this mentality of some men that women are less than and they are to be owned as products to either make babies for them or sell them or use them. And
Mhm.
similarly, there are women, especially like women who like rich men, who don't really like men. They just think of them as a wallet. And either one of those is bad. People are not things. People are souls worthy of respect, right?
Absolutely.
Whether you like a woman's beauty and yeah, you like fucking her, that's pretty normal. She's still a soul that's
Yep.
worthy of respect. It's not just a hole for you to use. Nor is a man simply a ATM machine, even if you do like successful dudes, like I certainly did when I had no money of my own.
Hmm.
Uh, so the nuance, I think, is lost when somebody's descended into the underworld of drugs and pimping and all the things that he was apparently deep into. The other take home lesson, besides maybe not being so stupidly trusting, is to, not poke a bear, which is a lesson I seem unable to learn. I just, I am not afraid when I probably should be, which is what allowed me to fly planes. When you get your CFAA, you have to spin a plane,
Hmm.
which means you have to stall it at a tipped over attitude. And you have to spin it end over end, and you have to learn how to recover, which is actually pretty easy to recover. There's a series of things you do. But the first time you spin a plane, you're like a falling leaf falling from altitude toward the
Yeah.
earth, and it takes your breath away.
Makes sense.
It's
Yeah.
terrifying. Um, and I felt no fear. I felt zero
So,
because I'm insane, I guess. I don't know.
hey, you have a good attitude.
Yeah,
I
but I
like
was afraid of having kids and marrying. So
it. Yeah,
that's what I thought was scary.
that's different though. That's different.
I
You
mean,
know.
my sister, I don't know how you do that. Responsible for another human life? No, thank you. So
Look,
we are all what we are. And look,
true.
there's 8 billion of us.
Yeah.
And I think I like the diversity. I think the world needs all of us. Okay,
Agreed.
maybe not like a crack addicted pimp trying to
Yeah.
sell women. That you don't need. But but like I I like I'm okay with who I am
Hmm.
and the take home lessons I seem unable to learn to maybe get in line and behave and be a good woman who does societally normal things and
Hmm.
instead of flies planes shuts my mouth and I don't want to be her and I never will.
Well,
And the
let
world's
me
just
ask
going
you
to have
this
to
though.
deal with
With all that you went through, and with the media and the public view of you, how did you overcome that? How did you get back to a space where you weren't emotionally affected by it as much?
I don't know that I have. I mean, I think when when I'm reminded of what the world thinks of women who've done what I've done,
Hmm.
I see those sometimes come. I did a terrible like rage bait podcast in June. I'll never do that again. I congratulate you on being positive because rage sells and I think it's disgusting. I think it's hurtful. But I did one, made a mistake, and I saw hundreds of thousands of people calling me awful names.
Mm.
Luckily they move on after 3 days because you're not the new thing, so it's great. You get trolled for 3 days and then they forget you exist.
Yeah.
But I am confronted with the fact that a lot of the world thinks I'm trash, and maybe I should have been killed. That would have cleaned up some trash off the face of the earth, right? I've read that.
Mm.
Um, 3 judges threw out my case when I sued. I had to sue him to get some stuff taken off the internet. The only way to get it removed was to win a lawsuit. That's why I sued him. There was no other way. I didn't want to sue him. I won. I never collected the judgment. I never collected the money. He can have the 80 grand or whatever it was. It was never about money. But when I sued, several judges said, well, she's garbage. This David Elms is garbage,
Hmm.
and threw it out of court. We had to keep being my lawyer, who's a friend of mine from school, Lewis Winter, is afraid of, he's more fearless than I am, and hates what I did, wishes I never had, but he's an old friend who didn't want me to die.
Yeah.
And so he refused to take no for an answer from these judges who kept saying no to him and me. And finally, we got one who saw me as a human. And so, how do I recover? I don't know that I will. I just have to go forward, right?
Gotcha.
When you take off in an airplane, you have to take off into the wind, or you can't pull off the runway. You don't take off with the wind. You take off into the thing that's pushing against you. That's how
Hmm.
you fly.
Yep.
And I think life is like that. I think the only way you get better at anything is to head into what's difficult, what's pushing against you.
Mm. So would you say that you keep yourself going in things that's difficult, or it just seems to follow you?
I mean, I do a lot of things that are easy too. I'm a big fan of a day spa and a 3-star Michelin restaurant and a vacation.
Love it.
I have plenty of pampering, but yes, I like challenges. I'm an eternal learner. I'm a professor's kid. I like anything I don't know. I'm adding another rating right now. If I can, it'll take me a couple years. I do like to. I'm trying to make change for the world of companions.
Hmm.
I want them to not go through what I went through at the hands of people like David Elms, because people like him are only allowed to proliferate and thrive because of the way America treats companionship.
Hmm.
And so I am going to stick my neck out because I don't want, whether you like it or not, and I'm not sure I like that companionship exists, but we have the world that is, not the world we wish
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
And so, given that it has always existed and always will, you cannot legislate morality. Vices will always exist, but you can make them safer and better for the young and weak that are in them because of poverty.
Hmm.
And that's what I'm interested in. And so, in terms of it, whether difficult things chase me or I chase them, I I do seek to make change, and I've done some small things, little tiny things to make change in places that I've lived, and I will continue to.
Okay.
Ag- Yeah, again, the delusional fearlessness, and maybe that's the way in which I try to recover from the trauma of that event and from my family having to. I didn't want them to find out.
I gotcha.
I wanted them to have to,
Yeah.
but maybe that's an attempt at atonement, because if something good can come of it all, then maybe it was all somewhat worth it, or at least less bad, right?
Hmm. True.
I That could just be trying to fill my own ego, but if so, that's okay, right?
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Hey, we're going to step away for about 20 seconds. I've got to pay some more bills. We'll be back on the Media Society. And we're back on the Media Society. I'm your host, Anthony Mitchell. And tonight's guest is Miss Amy Taylor. We're having a great conversation. And what I'd like to go into and ask her really is about the dynamic. You know, how we're in a day and time where we have a lot of people that have this whole thing about the high value man and these women that are just high level, and everybody's competing against one another. Everybody's tearing each other down. What do you feel about that whole aspect of what's going on with that thought process?
Yeah, man. I mean, everybody's always tried to punch above their weight. They did a study. They put people in the room and they taped like numbers from 1 to 10 on their foreheads,
Hmm.
and everybody could see everybody else's numbers, but not their own.
Hmm.
And the idea was try to pair up with somebody that was similar to your number. So, like, after a few minutes, whoever had the 1 kind of started to figure it out because basically everybody turned their back to them, right?
Uh,
Knowing that if they've got the one, your numbers, whatever it is probably higher.
mhm,
Um, and gradually, people paired. I think they've shown that most successful marriages, people are within one or two standard deviations of each other's looks.
mhm.
Um, so yeah, pretty people find each other, rich people find each other. That is true. What we have now, suddenly in the last few years, though, is this internet where we can all see each other's lives. That wasn't the case even 10, 12 years ago. And so, yes, that does make a lot of people want to shoot for the moon. And a lot of women think I need the guy with the yacht. And a lot of men think I need the Instagram baddie. And what you what is painful to realize is that you have a 1 or a 2 on your forehead and the 9 or a 10 is not. So, every little girl when we grow up, their parents tell you you're a princess and you're the most beautiful, and sometimes you find out, no, you're just average and that's okay too.
Mhm.
Um, but because your parents love you, they might be biased or they want you to have confidence. And
Yeah.
yeah, so this is very tough. This People tend to want to punch above their weight. We are ambitious creatures, especially America has a culture of individualism. We all want to shoot for the stars. And it can be very tough to realize that, yeah, you're not the best. I know a lot of good looking women have a really hard time aging because they remember the golden days when there was a line of men waiting to take them to Bernardin, and now no one's calling anymore. And for some women, that's very difficult. Others are totally cool with it. I admire the people who are like, I found my spouse, they love me. I don't need them to be a billionaire or a supermodel.
Mhm.
This is who I love. But a lot of people are running around trying to sort of chase wealth or beauty or things, and you see, I mean, I live in New York City. You see a lot of kids come here after college
Yep.
to kind of make their fortune, and they do like a decade here. They work really hard. They spend it all. They can't save a dime because it's super expensive, but they have a lot of fun.
Yep.
And then they hit their mid 30s, late 30s, and they settle down with somebody and move away and become a little more normal and
So
less
so
ambitious, and they relax a
so
little. And that's fine.
let me ask you this, because they do say, some sociologists say this. They'll say typically most super rich guys will end up marrying a average woman. Do you think that's
What do you
true?
mean by average?
Like average looking.
Oh, really?
That's what a sociologist will say. They say that they'll end up marrying because that's the one they're going to end up trusting with their
Okay.
finances and everything. I don't know if that's true. That's why I'm asking.
Well, what I've seen of the very, very rich is that the one they choose for marriage is also from a very important, good family.
Okay.
The rich marry other people with status. So she
Gotcha.
may not be beautiful, although she's going to be classy looking because
Yeah, yeah,
rich
yeah.
ladies tend to be classy looking.
Yeah.
But she might not be a model, but she's got a good father and grandpa, and she's got a good pedigree, school, her job, even if she's an art dealer who's never sold a painting, her job is classy because she does have to present well in the country clubs and the private things. She can't be a porn star.
Gotcha. So it is.
They
So
have a
they
lot of
are.
fun with the porn stars in private, but that's not who they marry.
Gotcha. So it
Um,
definitely. So
and those
it's
women are
kind of true.
often very well behaved and very lovely, but
Mhm.
they're kind of boring. Hence, men liking to go have fun with the wild chick who they cannot be with in public.
Mm.
But that's not everybody. That's just some
Yeah,
people, and
yeah, yeah,
obviously I've seen that.
yeah.
In terms of beauty, I think yes, some people really love physical beauty. Some people love power. Some people love brains. Um, I knew a guy once who said he loved women with really square shoulders. He didn't like a sloping shoulder. That was a really big deal to him. Like,
Mm.
okay, whatever.
And because there's a money aspect and they have money, they can pretty much get what they want.
Well, it does. Money is like looks or charisma
Mhm.
or height or any other asset. Blonde women tend to have their pick, at least worldwide. It's very rare, and most people chase it because it signifies status, or it used to. It's changing fast now, but
Mhm.
certainly in the world of companionship, blondes, they make 10 times more money without even trying.
Wow.
Well, it's a status thing, right? But that's okay. You only in the world, you only need one person who loves you, and you can be short and fat and weird and brunette, and you can be whatever. Like, you only need one who thinks you're the greatest.
Hmm.
But if you're making a living, like, okay, Hollywood, if you're a star,
Yeah.
you want the masses to want you. So it's better if you look like, Idris or Brad Pitt or George Clooney,
Yeah.
because you're trying to appeal to a lot of people. But the real world, you need one person who loves you.
This is true. So
And yes, rich men have choice, but so do pretty women, and so do women, so do rich women. With if her grandpa's a billionaire, she probably has a lot of choice too.
Yeah.
But so do nice people. If
Hmm.
I mean, you want to increase your odds, everybody watching this, and maybe you're like me, you didn't grow up rich, you don't have a pedigree, maybe you got a checkered past like I do. You know what you got to do? Go outside and be nice. You will find that someone eventually will love you and maybe even be okay with your flaws, because guess what? They're going to have them too. What's the
Customer
good book
service.
say? Be grateful for your partner's flaws, because if they didn't have them, they might not want you.
That's a good point. Well said.
I mean, no one is perfect.
Yeah. Let's.
And
Oh, go ahead.
there's someone for everybody, right? My one of my friends, he only likes redheads. It's like a thing. That's all he likes. Okay.
Isn't that semi rare too?
Yeah, it is. And for some people it's like their favorite look. And
Interesting.
others it's not. I mean, there's 8 billion of us, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Sure. Let's dive a little more into your avocation work and really kind of talk about that. I think that's super important because you're really trying to steer young women into a really a different direction, so to speak. You're trying to keep them from getting violently abused, which we don't. I don't think that. I think we got to, as men, we got to do better because it's not your responsibility as a woman to keep us from being violent. It's us doing the violence. So talk about some of the avocation work that you're doing.
Well, thank you. That's really nice that you're an ally. Thanks for saying that. Um, I agree. I want good men to stand up to bad men and make it so it's not okay. It's not cool. And there are good men who are like, dude, you don't treat women that way.
Exactly.
And good men are like drowning in women because we love them. Like, oh my God, is there anything sexier than a man who respects your like boundaries and consent? Like once he lets you like assert your own boundaries, because then he's not being pushy, and then you might even get to enjoy the chase a little, which is super fun.
Hmm.
Then you're like, okay, sir, now we have to have sex because now you let me have my autonomy, and which is nothing is sexier than that kind of guy with that kind of riz
Yep.
who like isn't so desperate he's like being gross. That's hot as like anything, right? So yes, I think men who are allies, that's the new cool. Be man enough to love women,
Yeah.
guys. Like real men, they like women. They're not afraid of them. They don't want to hurt them. That's what real manhood is. And and yeah, I think and women, love yourself enough not to be attracted to bad men. That sometimes you need a little therapy because maybe you grew up seeing stuff that's chaotic and that's what your magnet likes, and you got to resist that, right? Like some people are kind of attracted to bad people, and that's something you got to work on and fix if
Hmm.
that's your vibe. So yeah, I think for young women, I would, advise them to, have your own money, choose a career that has longevity, um, choose a man that supports your dreams, that doesn't view you as property. Um, Also, if you've got some chaotic love of violence yourself, as some women like to get drunk and cause nonsense, work on that, right? Like everybody should be, well, therapy would be good for a lot of people because
Hmm.
again, the attraction to chaos and drama is a very unhealthy one that exists in a lot of people, and that's something to work on.
Very
I
true.
think we can all, and not that you have to be completely stoic, but emotional resilience and self-control is a really important skill, right? Um, I think most people want their partner to be a source of peace and safety. The world's hard out there, right? Work is
True.
hard. The outside world is hard. Like your relationship should be peace, not chaos, I think. And so I would advise people to be attracted to that trait in others. And if somebody is violent or cruel or mean, to really run the other way, to not try to fix, to not try to. I don't think women were given a lot of these odd fairy tales of like slaying the beast and
Hmm.
taming, the vampire, the wolf. The women were given a lot of odd tropes about having to be the savior of a male who was literally a beast, an animal. And I think we have to reject those odd tropes. It is not, as you so wisely said, it is not our job to fix bad men.
Nope. At all. Not at all. It's not
Nor is it
not
your
to be.
job meant to fix bad women. If she's trash and making your life hell, run. I
Run. I agree. Run for
don't
the
care how hot
money.
she is. You can't fix her.
Let me ask you this last question before we get out of here. And I want to thank you so much for coming to the Media Society. I really appreciate having you. And I only hope that you will come back again one day. But let me ask you this question. When you look across your life, everything, is there anything you would do different?
So much. I mean, yeah, like it's like a roller coaster where I'm just like, what's happening now? No, I joke. I mean, it's, I guess I wanted an interesting life. Uh, I might have, there was one I might have married. He knows who he is. He's up in the Pacific Northwest now. And
Hmm.
it broke my heart. It didn't work out. It was neither of our fault. Love was not enough. He's fine and happy now, and I'm happy for him. But if I could have another go around, I would have tried to build a life with him.
Interesting.
And it's okay that it didn't go that way. Would I have been a companion? God, I don't know. I certainly would have ignored David Alms when he tried to bother me. I would have just ghosted instead of tried to tell him he was a crappy person. But I am sort of glad I put him in prison because then he stopped doing what he was doing to other women.
Absolutely.
I am actually kind of proud of that, although it cost me a lot in life, and it will until the day I die. The stigma of getting outed by him will follow me forever.
Hmm.
I am where I'm at now, and I have to make the best of the life I have, and I fully intend on it, on not being ashamed, because what else can I do? But I would maybe choose. I've lived a life very much in the male gaze between aviation, largely 94% male, and companionship, mostly male, and even biology those years, and education, that's mostly men. Less so now, but 25 years ago, it was mostly guys. I've lived a life very much subject to the male gaze, and so if I could do anything different, I might have had like more of a life with solidarity with with girls. And maybe my old lady years, I'll seek that. I might like be like a little old lady on the Upper East Side with like a Yorkie and a bunch of lady friends, and that I feel like that might be fine for my old lady
You
years.
you got a long ways to go.
Pretty much. Thank you so much, Anthony, for saying that. And
Yes,
aging's cool. Like you're just getting
I
started, but like
agree. Think about it, I'm 50. So
you look 20. I'm so
thank
jealous.
you
What's
so
going on?
much. Thank you so much. You know,
Yeah,
black
but
don't crack.
dude,
That's how it
you're black.
works.
Yeah, black. It's true. I'm Eastern European. I'm 5 years away from having a full beard. We Eastern Europeans, we start the game real strong, and then something very bad happens.
Uh-huh. See?
Nobody gets it all, folks. Nobody wins everything.
Hey, we have kinship. You have a whole Welsh thing. I have a Welsh name. So,
Right?
hey, this is how it works.
I love what you're doing for underrepresented, like upper middle class black people. I
Yeah,
love the change you're making. I love your bravery of speaking out. I feel I identify with you because I'm trying to make life better for people who've been stomped on.
I know you are.
People enter sex work for one reason:
Yeah,
poverty. That's it, right? They're
true.
young and they're poor,
Yep,
or even not so young, but poor.
that's true.
And if we don't, no one is free until we're all free. This is it, right? And
Agreed.
so I love what you're doing. Never ever back down because the assholes sure don't.
Wow, that's powerful. I
You're
dig it.
gonna you're gonna win. Love wins.
Amy?
I just read a thing the other day that racism is correlated, like the regression line is 1.0. It's a perfect correlation with only one other trait that they've found. And do you know what it is?
What's that?
Low IQ.
Wow. And
It's
you know
literally for
what?
stupid people.
I would say something, but I'm gonna be nice. It's not about you. It's about the low IQ people. I'll leave it at that.
I mean, they're bigots, right? Stupid people are
There we
racist. So
go. There we go. There we go.
anyway.
I try to stay semi-biased. But
No,
Amy,
you're a class act, and keep it up. That's how you win too. You're so
absolutely.
elegant, and I have to believe that kindness and love wins. I have to slowly with fits and
I
starts.
agree. I agree. So, like I say, Amy, I want to give you a big shout out. You've been a great guest, and I appreciate you stepping by the Media Society. Tonight, we got to talk to a brilliant woman. She's one with a powerful story, and take some time and reach out to her. She likes to talk to people. She definitely does. Treat her with respect always. She's a very respectful person, and you give her the same respect. So to our guests, to our audience, thank you so much for listening to us. Again, we can't do this without you. Reach out to us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and all of the podcast networks. We're there. I'm your host, Anthony Mitchell, the Media Society.